Hello everybody. So in today's video, I'm going to be making whole wheat garlic naan. This recipe is delicious. So to start with, I was just putting in some butter chicken into my slow cooker here. I have not become good at making butter chicken yet, so I use this jarred sauce from Costco. It is the best one I've tried so far, and I recommend it. It's really good. For the garlic naan, I found a recipe on TikTok, and I'm going to post right here the channel. Her name is Connie Sweets, and I used her recipe. I did tweak the recipe a little bit to make it whole wheat, but other than that, it's her recipe, and I hope you guys check her out. She's pretty good. Just give you guys a little look on what this jarred sauce looks like. It is delicious, but I think I slow cooked this for about 5 hours. It was really good with the garlic naan. So for the naan, I used 1 cup of warm water. Don't make it too hot, no hotter than 110, otherwise it'll kill the yeast. I'm using instant yeast here. You can use dry active if you like. I used 1 1/4 teaspoons. In her recipe, she says 1 teaspoon. I did an extra quarter just because I'm going to use whole wheat flour. Whole wheat flour doesn't raise as easily. 1 teaspoon of sugar. And then I like to give that a whisk just to make sure it's all nice and whisked together here. Give you a close-up look. Let everything dissolve. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to add about 2 1/4 cups of whole wheat flour. For this recipe, because the whole wheat flour tends to soak up the moisture more, I think if I was to make this again, I would do 2 cups of whole wheat flour rather than 2 1/4. I think the dough would have been a little bit softer. That was just a preference though. So here I'm just adding the olive oil. It says about a tablespoon. I did end up adding probably about double that, just because of the extra flour. I had to add some moisture in there. So here I'm just scraping down the sides, making sure that all the ingredients are incorporating nicely. And then I'm just going to give it a good mix. And I let it beat for probably about 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure that the elasticity of the dough was really, really good. That was me adding a little bit more olive oil. It was a little dry. This is where I was beating it to get the elasticity in the dough a lot more, especially since it was whole wheat. With whole wheat flour, your dough tends to be a little bit more tough. So this step here helped quite a bit. Give you guys a close-up look on the elasticity of the dough here. And then I'm just going to cover it, and we're going to let it double in size. I think I covered it for probably about 45 minutes to an hour. And then we're going to bring it out here, and we're going to get started. So I was warming up my skillet, adding some olive oil in here to coat the pan. And then we're going to start rolling out the naan bread here. You can see how nice and puffed up it got. It actually doubled in size more than I expected. I was quite happy with that. So I ended up cutting this dough into 8 sections. It made 8 pieces perfectly. I think if you want to make more than 8, you probably should double the recipe. But I didn't double the recipe. I wanted to try it and make sure it was a really good recipe. And I can tell you that everyone loved this recipe. It was so good. even with the whole wheat flour, it had really good flavor. So I'm just kind of mashing it into like a circle here before I start rolling it out. And you want to roll these pretty thin. They do puff up in the frying pan. I would say I probably rolled these probably about 1/8 of an inch. So here I was just checking the thickness to make sure that it's all nice and even and thin enough. Make sure it's thin enough to cook here. So before I started cooking them, I decided to make the garlic butter. So I just used probably about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of butter here, some garlic paste, a couple tablespoons, and I'm going to melt this in the microwave. Once that's melted, I just gave it a little stir here, and then I added some cilantro. You don't have to add cilantro, but it did add really good flavor. I only added probably about 1/2 teaspoon here, and then I added a lot of parsley, and then I just mixed it in. This garlic butter mixture was perfect for on top of the naan. It gave it a really, really good flavor. I think the cilantro added something to the mixture. So by now my pan was starting to steam a little bit, so I turned the heat down a little bit so things don't burn. And I just put the naan right into the pan. I slid it around a little bit just to make sure it doesn't stick, but it only takes a couple minutes, maybe a minute and a half on each side, and you don't want to overcook it. So I would recommend watching the heat really, really carefully, and you're going to see bubbles start to bubble in the middle as it starts to puff up. I was trying to make sure that I had the next piece of naan ready and rolled out to go into the pan because I knew this was going to be a fairly quick process. When it's ready to flip, there should be some dark brown patches on the bottom. This was starting pretty good. I wanted it to get a little bit darker first. Once I got the right color, I flipped it over and it was like a nice golden color. It was perfect. And then the other side, you're gonna see that it's gonna have like the big brown spots where the bubbles were touching the pan mostly. And the second side doesn't take very long, maybe a minute to cook. And this is where I was adding the garlic butter on top while the other side was cooking. The garlic butter soaked into the naan really nicely, and it gives it such a good flavor. It went perfectly with the butter chicken. So right here you can see it had a really nice brown color on the bottom and it was ready to come off. So I just put it on some paper towel to soak up some of the olive oil that was on the bottom of the pan. And I just kept repeating the process. I had to keep turning down my pan though. It was progressively getting hotter and hotter. So I turned it down just to ensure that I didn't burn anything. Right here you can see the bubbles in the dough and how nicely it was starting to puff up. Just adding more garlic butter and repeating the process. So I just kept repeating the process, putting a little bit of olive oil in and making sure the pan wasn't too hot, cooking each piece maybe a minute and a half on each side, putting on the garlic butter. I did make a couple plain ones for my daughter, but overall, all 8 pieces turned out perfectly. highly recommend you guys try this recipe. It was delicious. They pull apart really nicely. They go perfect. They would be perfect for curry as well. So if you're looking for bread recipe that is pretty fast and you can turn into like a whole wheat option, this is a really good recipe. So I hope you check out Connie Sweets on TikTok. I did link her page in the description box, and I will hand write out the recipe, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.